Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our producer, Jeff Durall. We're at President Ed Hammond's office at Fort Hays State University, visiting with President Hammond. And before we actually start, President Hammond, I need to tell you that your wife, Mary, is very good at surprises and keeping secrets.
She is extremely good at it, along with Karen and a number of other people. A week ago was just an amazing week. I was surprised in Washington, D.C. by Pat Roberts' staff, where they had a joint birthday party and retirement celebration for me. His birthday was a little bit earlier. I think 6 days earlier than that Monday, and mine was 6 days later. So they had this ice cream cake and cookies and all kinds of good stuff for us. But that, I knew nothing about that event. And then on Wednesday in Washington, in Topeka, I knew the House and the Senate were going to recognize my tenure as president, but I did know that there was going to be a big reception afterwards. And Deborah Prideaux and Mary and a lot of other people were involved in that. And then Friday, they surprised me with all the family coming back and the party here on campus. And then Saturday, the dinner was another major event and surprise where we had Gary Shear was back from Colorado. I mean, people came from all over the country to help me celebrate my birthday, which was on Sunday, which was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, after all of those activities, Sunday was Mary and I, after everyone left town, went and played golf and had a nice dinner.
I was wondering if you were going to hit the golf course maybe on Sunday and wind down a little bit, possibly. Well, Jeff and I were over at the house for the last time, and Mary and Jeff and I talked about skiing and talked about motorcycles and talked about things like that, and not a hint of what was coming up. So she is very good at that type of keeping secrets.
She and Karen did a marvelous job, even though I threw them some, as they said, I was a problem. I kept wanting to schedule things at the wrong times.
And they had to come up with the excuses
why we couldn't do that. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Well, I suspect there will be more of that coming probably as you go to China for the annual trip. Let's talk first of all, though, since we visited last, we now have the 9th president at Fort Hays State University.
Yeah, Mirta Martin. Dr. Martin was selected by the Board of Regents on that Friday as well. And it was an outstanding hire. Fort Hays is kind of known in the higher education community as thinking a little bit outside the box. Mm-hmm. And in this new leader that the board has selected, they definitely, I think, have gone a little bit outside the box because they've got somebody coming in as president who has been extremely successful in everything she did. She and her grandmother jumped in a rubber raft and escaped Cuba to come across to the United States, not able to speak a single word of English, at about 10 years old. Between then and the time she was 18, she learned English well enough. She got a full ride scholarship to Duke University and graduated with honors from Duke. Met her husband, John, during freshman week. And they dated all during college and then got married, moved to his hometown, Richmond, Virginia, where they have a family business. But she got into banking and worked her way up, and in 10 to 12 years went from being an associate in a bank to the vice president of the bank. The travel around the world was beginning to conflict with their family because they had little kids then. So she decided to give up that career and to get a PhD, and because she always knew or thought she would love to teach. And so she started her second career, and in the last 15 years she's gone from being a professor to being president of Fort Hays State University. So it's a tremendous story, but what it shows is we have hired a woman who is highly capable, highly competitive, and very successful.
I wanted to ask you about some of those qualities that she brings to that position.
Well, she's got great people skills. I watched her work the crowd at the Half Century Club luncheon that we went and co-hosted, she talked to everybody in the room, and personally reached out and touched them. And she's warm and not at all a reserved person. She gets right in your face and will talk to you about 4 days. There was a student at the reception here on campus who came up and asked her if she could take a picture with her. And Mirta said, sure. And then she noticed she was wearing a KU hat, so she took the hat off the girl, put it on the chair, and then proceeded to help fix the girl's hair, and then turned around and posed for the picture. So that's just the kind of person she is.
This is graduation week once again, this time with 5 ceremonies and a total of 3,347 graduates this year.
Not all this week. Over the next month.
That's right.
We'll
Those
graduate.
include the China graduates
right,
as well.
Because we have CAMS this week, this past weekend. We have then the university commencement coming up this weekend, both graduate and undergraduate, Friday and Saturday night. So that's 3 here in Hayes. And then that afternoon we head for China, and the following weekend we do SNU, Xinjiang Normal, and then the following weekend we'll do CIAS commencement.
The CAMS graduation will also be the end of the program. This is the 4th year for CAMS, I believe.
Fourth graduating class, yes.
And the end of the director's term, Ron Keller.
Well, Ron has decided he'd like to retire, and he will be dearly missed at Fort Hays State University. He was the founding director. We actually hired him before we had any students. All I had was the startup money from the legislature at that time. We didn't even know if they were going to give us the money to run the program, but they gave us the startup money, and then over the next couple of years they fully funded CAMS. And Ron has been instrumental in the kickoff of that program and the success of that program. We're one of 13 states that has an academy. Only 13 of the 50 states has a Academy of Math and Science. And the Fort Hays Academy, or the Kansas Academy, is one of the most successful of all of them. 80% of our students that graduate from CAMS stay in Kansas. All the others, Texas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, all the other academies are fighting to get somewhere around 40%, half that number, to stay in state. We've been very successful in getting 80% of our graduates to stay in Kansas, and 40%, half of those, attend Fort Hays State University. So they like it so much that they stay here for their final 2 years of their college career.
And that exposure to Fort Hays State while they're still in the high school career certainly does pay dividends, doesn't it? Not only for Fort Hays, but for the state.
Well, our objective was to try to design CAMS a little differently than the other academies, with the primary purpose of being able to try to keep our best and brightest in the state of Kansas.
It's interesting, we talk about graduation, which is this week. In the ceremonies, the numbers of 3,347 now, including the China graduates. But 10 years ago, that number was 1,300. I think that says a testimony to the offerings of Fort Hays State University and also the hard work of the staff and President Hammond.
Well, I don't know about the last one, but definitely the earlier ones. I mean, when you more than double, almost triple the number of graduates that you're at commencement, you're graduating, somebody's working very, very hard, because we haven't tripled the number of people in the registrar's office or in the financial aid office or in a lot of these offices that service our students. So the bottom line is we've got a great team of people that work very hard, and as a result, we've got some tremendous numbers when you look at our enrollments over 13,500 now, or the number of graduates, where we're over 3,300 graduates.
The Fort Hays Foundation fundraising, which is the goal, $8 million here for the end of the year.
Well, no, that we have, that's just the Power of One scholarship.
The Power of One scholarships, that's right.
Yeah, we're raising money to do other things too, but the Power of One scholarship campaign, which is just part of what the foundation's doing this year, is off to a great start. I mean, we started the beginning of the year. We're going to end it in December of this year, so we're not halfway through yet, and we're pretty close to our goal.
I was going to say, still over half the goal, and still half of the year to achieve that goal.
Yeah, and you haven't made your donation yet, so we'll need to talk to you about
The
that.
check's in the mail,
Okay,
as
good.
a matter of fact. You will be handing out several hundred diplomas during commencement at the university at the Coliseum again on Saturday. Is there a little bittersweet feeling here with this one, maybe, that have you thought about it,
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that question, that as you get closer and closer to, stepping down from the presidency, even though, they know I'll be at the university and I'll be teaching. Mary and I are, want to be part of the Hays community. They say, is there any angst or concern or sadness? And I tell them really that there isn't. But part of that is that the decision to do this was made, over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. Well, in fact, it'll be 2 years ago this commencement that I first told the chairman of the board that I would be retiring when I was 70. So, and we started talking about how we would do the transition. So it's not something that all of a sudden comes up. It's something that has, as many of the things that I've done at the university are pretty planned out and pretty calculated, so that we, have thought about it. And so it's just another step down that road to a new phase of my life that I'm really looking forward to. So, no, I'm not sad right now. Now, when I'm on stage and we end those commencements, will I feel a little bit emotional? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
But once again, you're not completely divorcing yourself from Fort Hays State, so
No.
that's good. That's a good sign.
My end objective is to teach. I really think I can be a real asset, both in leadership and in education, at the graduate level, especially in student affairs. I mean, that's what I was doing before I came here. And we've got a new master's program there that I think I can really help, both from a recruiting standpoint as well as from a teaching standpoint. So I look forward to getting involved in that, but probably for the first year or so, first couple of years, a lot of it's going to be trying to help, Mirta make sure that she's off to a good start. Whatever help she needs, I'll be there to provide it. She'll be here, a couple of times between now and her starting date, which is July 1. This week, while this is running, in fact, she will be in Hays, and I'll be taking her to Topeka. We're meeting with Governor Brownback. We're meeting with the Regent's staff that she hasn't met, just so that she can develop those relationships before she even starts.
President Ed Hammond, Fort Hays State University, from the President's Office, our community connection. Thanks for watching.